I just read an article that to me is very alarming. Basically, there's an expert who says that it's extremely dangerous to own stocks and Bitcoin right now, that you could be on the verge of the entire market going off a cliff. And so I'm going to break some of this down for you and read some of this article and kind of give you a quick take on things. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt, hit the thumbs up button. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. This is theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I am your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about wealth every day. We are obsessed with wealth, building black wealth, closing wealth gaps, creating wealthy families, and making sure that we lead the world in the next generation. We live under the B1 philosophy. The B1 philosophy says that we believe that our children, B1 children, will be leaders of the world in wealth and economics within the next 50 years. B1 means that we prioritize ourselves first. We build wealth for ourselves, and then we take care of everybody else. We don't take care of everybody else first. We take care of ourselves first. B1 also means we understand we must be one to be successful. So if you agree with the B1 philosophy, put a B1 in the chat, hashtag B and the number one. How you doing, Troy B. and Guedo and Philip Battle, Max Jerome, Omari Robinson, Miss Hosea, Fred Woodward, Jay Johnson. I see you. I see you. I see you. Please hit the thumbs up button right now. Please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done it yet. All right. So I was reading this article today, and it's in CNBC, and it has to do with there's an expert. And mind you, I want to make sure you understand different experts have different opinions, but I think it's important to hear from all the experts so you can kind of get different perspectives. This isn't something that's very popular. You know, we live in a crazy political environment where everybody's fighting, everybody thinks they're right. People don't listen to each other. Democrats don't listen to Republicans and vice versa. But what I do is I do something that's a little bit different. I want information. I want to understand the environment. So I listen to everybody. I listen to the people that agree with me, the people that disagree with me, because I think it's important to understand what's there. Because all those things can be true at once. You know, if you talk about whether or not, for example, if you hear two analysts explain why the Bucks are going to win the NBA Finals, and then you hear two other analysts explain why the Suns are going to win, they're all right. They're all right because you don't really know exactly which outcome is going to play out. But all those factors do matter. You just don't know how they're going to play out. So here's what I was reading. This is about a guy named David Tice. David Tice tends to be a bear. Bears are people that expect that the market's going to drop. They're kind of like the financial version of the ultimate pessimist. So imagine if you're about to go bungee jumping and you talk to your most negative friend, you know, your friend that warned you of all the different ways that people have died, you know, bungee jumping, right? It doesn't mean you don't listen to the person, but at the same time, that can't be the only person you listen to. So David Tice is kind of the financial pessimist, but he's actually made some points that I think are pretty good points about the fact that he believes stocks and Bitcoin in particular are very risky to own right now from a financial standpoint, from an investing standpoint. Now, he's not saying Bitcoin is garbage. He's not saying stocks are garbage. What he's saying is that Bitcoin and stocks are overpriced right now. And here's what he said. So the article in CNBC says it's very dangerous to invest in stocks and Bitcoin right now. Longtime bear David Tice warns. So he didn't say it's dangerous to own stocks in Bitcoin. He's saying it's dangerous to invest in stocks and Bitcoin. Those are two different things because whether or not an investment is good or bad depends on your entry point. If I enter into an asset at $10 a share, that's very different from entering when it's $55, $60 a share. And so here's his point of view. Basically, he says the market is very overpriced in terms of future earnings. We are adding debt like we've never seen. He says we have the Treasury market acting very strange with rates falling dramatically. So what he's basically saying is that the Treasury is just really taking on a ton of debt. Your government is in so much debt, it's kind of ridiculous. And there are people who believe that because we're in a different kind of economic regime, that it's okay to take on that level of debt. I'm not convinced of that yet. I kind of feel like chickens will come home to roost, and that could be a problem. Now, at the same time, though, let's not get into this whole, you know, predicting the collapse of the entire economic system. That'll probably happen at some point, but it ain't going to happen next year. So what does matter, though, is that there is a chance that the Fed could, you know, realize that they have to change course, and that their economic policy, their monetary easing, has to kind of slow down. Right now, they're dramatically increasing the money supply, which a lot of people believe could actually cause long-term inflation. And so Tice, if you want to know the short end of the story, is sort of advocating for the ownership of companies that mine silver and gold. Like B2 Gold is one company that we talked about before, but there's plenty of others out there. He argues that gold is always a good long-term hedge against crazy things happening in fiat currency. Now, the other thing that he mentioned is he said that he's particularly worried about big tech, or what they call FANG stocks: Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. He says a lot of money has been thrown at Alphabet and Microsoft, Apple and Facebook, Twitter, etc. Costs are going up in that sector. He also says Bitcoin is very dangerous to hold. He's urging investors to be vigilant in the crypto space. Tice, who came in the year as a Bitcoin bull, turned bearish in Bitcoin when it hit all-time highs in March. We had a Bitcoin position when Bitcoin was at 10,000, he said. However, when it got to 60,000, we felt like it was long in the tooth, meaning that Bitcoin had gone a little bit too high, gotten a little bit too big for its britches. And it turns out he was right about that. I mean, Bitcoin has been getting its butt kicked since it hit 60,000. And if you bought it at 60, you're probably pretty sad, because Bitcoin has dropped down to the 30s. And what I would just tell you guys in general is, investing's changed. This is not the pandemic anymore. During the pandemic, the reason you saw the emergence of all these sudden people that were suddenly financial experts and suddenly teaching people how to invest is because it was easy to make money. Everybody was making money in last year's market. It was a piece of cake. You could go buy, a company like Microsoft, a solid company that makes really good money, and you could buy it for literally pennies on the dollar relative to what it was worth. Well, that's easy. It's easy to buy a valuable asset at a low price. Like that, you don't have to be smart in order to do that. Now, investing requires you to be kind of smart. It requires you to kind of figure out where the bull and bear markets are. It's not like before, where maybe you could have bought some GE stock back for $6.50 a share back in the day. Now you got to pay about $13. Now you got to pay double that, right? You could have bought it a year and a half ago, and it would have doubled in the course of a year. Even companies like ExxonMobil were trading at ridiculously low levels. I want to say in the 20s and the 30s. Now Exxon's trading over 60 something dollars a share. So it's getting a little bit harder to make money. It doesn't mean that the money isn't out there. It just means that right now your market's pretty overinflated, and also you're seeing a lot of your meme stocks getting body slammed. AMC, I haven't checked AMC in a while, but I believe AMC, the party's over with AMC. And if you recall, if you go back about a month and a half ago, I remember telling you guys that most of the time, those meme stock pump and dumps, they hurt pretty bad when the dump starts, when you stop the pumping and start the dumping. The pumping's good. We all like the pumping, but when you get to the dumping, it can get pretty painful. Now, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Also, if you want to teach wealth to your kids, we actually have financial workbooks and flashcards that are custom made by Black experts that will help your children to learn wealth. Take a look. Feel free to take a look. It's financialworkbooks.com. My wife is an expert on the subconscious mind, and she says that three things affect the subconscious mind: trauma, repetition, and symbols. Right. So that's why they always use symbolism on Black people with politics, because symbolism affects your subconscious mind. Well, one thing that we want you to take control of your child's self-conscious mind. You take control of that mind with repetition. So feel free to take a look at the flashcards. Alonzo says, I have the flashcards. They're awesome. Well, that's very cool. Thank you for that endorsement. I see your beautiful family, Alonzo. I'm super proud of you. I'm very proud to know you, because I respect Black men like you. Look, he's proud of his family, proud of his children. His children will honor him for the next 50 years, next 100 years. And that's what manhood's about to me. That's what I believe. So if you want to go take a look at the flashcards and workbooks and everything, feel free to go to financialworkbooks.com. I didn't find out till recently. I met the rapper T.I. actually when I was in Ghana. And I said, yeah, I saw him. He didn't act like he knew who I was. And somebody said, oh, he knows you, man. He knows you, bro. I know T.I. T.I. knows you. I said, how do you know he knows me? He said, because he owns your flash. He bought your flashcards for his kids, and his kids are in your program. I said, no, come on. He said, yeah, man. We told him all about you. He knows about you. He doesn't know it was you. And so I said, okay, yeah. But basically, in my view, here's my point. Anybody that really wants your kids to have a different life from the life you grew up with, you got to get them started on wealth early. So whatever the process is, whether we help you or not, If you don't work through one of our programs, that's fine. But just find something. Have conversations with your kids about economics and wealth. That's how you put them ahead. Now, let me hop back in. And before Alicia and I go to bed, I'm going to grab a little bit more information from this article. David Tice, his conclusion basically is that he feels that Bitcoin is risky because Bitcoin at 10,000 is a great deal. He feels that Bitcoin at 35, 40,000 is a little bit risky. And he also talks about some things you and I've talked about, which is that Bitcoin has a lot of haters. Bitcoin has central banks that, that's the thing. When someone it has a problem with your existence, they might spread rumors and discredit and things like that. So there are a lot of authorities and powers that be that are seeking to discredit Bitcoin. They try to say that Bitcoin is linked to money laundering, and that Bitcoin is garbage, and Bitcoin is no good, and Bitcoin is environmentally unfriendly, and all these things are silly, to be honest with you. But these things matter because every time they do that, it ends up hurting the price of Bitcoin. So he actually cites that as one of the reasons why he feels that Bitcoin is a scary investment. He's not saying Bitcoin's bad. He's not saying the blockchain isn't brilliant. He's saying be very careful if you put your money in Bitcoin. His recommendation is to take a look at gold and silver mining companies. He says basically a lot of these companies are undervalued. He says that that a lot of gold has had a 20% annual increase in price the last couple of years, and that is typically a good hedge against fiat currency. In fact, he mentioned that gold has done well for asset protection for the last 5,000 years. So I do own some gold, and I do think gold is a good thing to add to your portfolio on some level. All right, so let's see here. Somebody says your live yesterday was amazing. Football and hip hop are both similar and used to destroy the Black community. Okay, well, thank you for the kind words, Zone World Entertainment. I want to make it clear, I am a big fan of football and I'm a big fan of hip hop. But I really think that hip hop and sports are very powerful. They're very influential with our people. And I think it's very important that when you have something that influences your people that much, you have to understand how that power is being used. So I'm not saying get rid of hip hop and get rid of rappers. I got a lot of friends that are rappers. I want to make that clear. I'm saying let's use our powers for good and not evil. Let's use our powers to elevate and not desecrate. Let's not let other people destroy all the great things that we have going on with our community, because our children deserve better than that. They need us to stand up for them and to make sure that the information that they're consuming in their brains is good information. And also, they need us to protect their brains, which is why we have to sort of re-examine our relationship with football. You look at that poor guy, Richard Sherman, as smart as he was, as smart as he is. Richard Sherman, one of the sharpest guys out here. You can't tell me he doesn't have CTE. And the reason I believe he has brain damage, which is AKA CTE, is because most of the NFL players have CTE. I told you they studied 111 brains of NFL athletes, and 110 of them had CTE. So Richard Sherman takes a lot of hits to the head, and that's just one of those things that is going to affect you. And I believe that a lot of his behavior was affected by the CTE. Also concussions increase your risk of suicide. He was speaking suicidally, and then you mix alcohol in the mix. That's the recipe for a disaster. So let's just have some honest conversations about that. Nobody hates football. Nobody hates rap. But we got to think about how these things are used in good and bad ways in the community, because our children are our future, and that's our investment. All right. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go. By the way, I did a Black Stock Market weekend where I went through my 11-step method on how I pick my stocks, stuff like that. If you want to actually view the recording, you can actually go to the blackstockmarketweekend.com, and you have lifetime access to the information. So feel free to take a look at that. The URL's right there on the screen. It's good for, something good to take a look at with your whole family. So anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Please have a good night. Thank you for listening. Love you. And I'll be back around tomorrow. Talk to you later. Peace.